When you think of the first European to set foot in the Americas, the image that probably comes to mind is Christopher Columbus, bold, determined, and sailing under the Spanish flag in 1492. For centuries, his name has been synonymous with the discovery of a new world, and his story is taught in classrooms around the globe as the beginning of European exploration in the West. But what if I told you that this familiar narrative leaves out an astonishing chapter? That in fact the Vikings, those legendary Norse seafarers, beat Columbus to the Americas by nearly 500 years? Picture this: centuries before Columbus, Norsemen in their iconic longships braved the wild, unpredictable North Atlantic. With no compasses or modern maps, they relied on the sun, the stars, and their own hard-won knowledge of the sea. Their journeys were perilous, driven by curiosity, ambition, and a relentless spirit of adventure. This isn't just a legend passed down through the ages, it's a story grounded in real, tangible evidence. Archaeologists have uncovered Norse artifacts buried deep in the soil of North America, proof that these explorers truly set foot on this continent long before Columbus ever dreamed of crossing the Atlantic. Imagine it. Centuries before the Spanish ships arrived, Vikings were building sturdy wooden houses, tending fires, and exploring the dense forests of what we now call Canada. Their settlements, like those found in Newfoundland, reveal a story of resilience and adaptation in a strange new land. Their incredible journey was preserved in epic sagas, stories told by firelight and handed down through generations. These sagas, once dismissed as mere myth or exaggeration, now challenge everything we thought we knew about the Age of Discovery. For years, historians debated the truth behind these tales. Were they just fanciful stories, or did they contain a kernel of historical fact? The idea of Vikings in America seemed almost too extraordinary to believe, but then, archaeology provided the missing piece. The discovery of unmistakable Norse artifacts, tools, building remains, and everyday objects proved beyond doubt that the Vikings really did make it here, changing our understanding of history forever. So, let's set aside the familiar Columbus story for a moment. Let's travel back in time all the way to the year 1000. A time when the world was still full of mystery and uncharted lands. Our story begins in Greenland, a remote and unforgiving outpost at the edge of the known world. Here, Viking settlers carved out a life amid icy fjords and endless wilderness, always looking to the horizon for what might lie beyond. Among them was a man with a famous father and a restless spirit, a man whose curiosity and courage would soon lead him into the pages of history. He wasn't searching for a new continent or chasing after glory. He simply wanted to know what lay beyond the endless blue horizon, driven by the same spirit of exploration that defines humanity. What he found would not only rewrite the map of the world, but also forever change our understanding of who truly discovered the Americas. Crossing the Atlantic in 1000 AD was a feat of courage and skill. For the Vikings, the ocean was both a highway and a barrier, a vast, unpredictable expanse that tested every ounce of their seamanship. The journey was not just about reaching new lands, but about survival, endurance, and the hope of discovery. Leif's crew sailed a Nar, sturdy, flexible, but open to the elements. These ships were built for long distances, yet every wave and gust of wind was a reminder of how exposed they truly were. The crew faced freezing spray, relentless winds, and the ever-present threat of storms. They packed dried fish, salted meat, water, and tools, everything for survival. Supplies were precious, and rationing was strict. Every meal was a reminder of how far they were from home, and how much depended on their careful planning. Navigation relied on the sun, stars, and the subtle cues of wind and waves. There were no maps, no compasses, just the knowledge passed down through generations, and the sharp instincts of seasoned sailors. Every decision was a gamble, every course correction a test of experience. The ocean could be merciless, and only the most skilled could hope to find their way. Retracing Bjarne's route, they first landed on a barren, rocky shore, Helluland, likely Baffin Island. The landscape was harsh and unwelcoming, a stark contrast to the green valleys of their homeland. It was bleak, but proof that land was out there. For weary sailors, even the sight of rocks and ice was a sign of hope, a promise that their journey was not in vain. Pressing south, they found Markland, forested, rich in timber, probably Labrador. Here the land offered new possibilities: wood for building, shelter from the wind, and the chance to rest and repair. Timber was gold to Greenlanders, but the sagas hinted at something even better. The promise of fertile land and unknown riches drove them onward deeper into the unknown. the journey wasn't over. The real prize lay further south. Each mile brought new challenges but also new hope. Each landfall was a step into the unknown. Every shoreline was a mystery, every forest a world waiting to be explored. The crew pressed on, driven by hope and necessity. Their determination was matched only by their resilience, as they faced the elements together. They were explorers, not conquerors, seeking resources, not empires. Their mission was to find a better life, not to claim new kingdoms. Every mile was a gamble, every discovery a victory. The smallest success was cause for celebration, a testament to their courage and unity. The best was yet to come. With every sunrise, anticipation grew. What wonders might lie just beyond the horizon? And soon, they would find a land of legend. Their journey would become the stuff of sagas, inspiring generations to come. After Markland, Leif's crew sailed 2 more days and found a lush, welcoming land. Dew on the grass tasted sweet, a small joy after weeks at sea. They built simple shelters and explored, finding abundant timber and rivers teeming with giant salmon. The breakthrough came when Turker, a German crewman, discovered wild grapes. For Norsemen, grapes were a marvel, proof of a fertile, temperate land. Leif named it Vinland, Wineland, for its bounty. The crew spent the winter there building sturdier houses and gathering resources. Timber, grapes, and fish, everything Greenland lacked. They prepared a cargo to take home, knowing they'd found something extraordinary. Vinland was no myth, it was real, and it was rich. The expedition was a triumph. Leif's gamble had paid off. The Norse had discovered a new world. How do we know all this? The story survives in 2 Icelandic sagas, the saga of the Greenlanders and the saga of Eric the Red. Written centuries later, these sagas blend myth and fact, but their practical details ring true. They describe Leif's voyage, the naming of Helluland, Markland, and Vinland, and the winter spent there. One saga credits Leif with deliberate exploration, another says he found Vinland by accident. Historians debate the details, but both agree. The Norse reached North America and called it Vinland. The sagas, once doubted, are now seen as vital clues to a forgotten chapter of history. For centuries, Vinland was just a story, until the 1960s. Norwegian explorers Helga and Anne Stein Ingstad searched Newfoundland, guided by saga clues. Local fisherman George Decker led them to mysterious mounds at Lance Og Meadows. Excavation revealed Norse-style turf buildings, a forge, and ironworking, technology unknown to local peoples. Artifacts like a bronze cloak pin and spindle whorl proved women were present, matching saga accounts. Radiocarbon dating placed the site at 1000 AD, the era of Leif Erikson. This was no myth. The Norse had truly settled in North America. Lance Og Meadows became the first confirmed Viking site in the New World. The sagas were vindicated. History had been rewritten. Leif's success inspired others. His brother Thorvald sailed to Vinland, but conflict with indigenous peoples, called Skrælings in the sagas, proved deadly. Thorvald was killed, the first European buried in America. Later, Thorfinn Karlsefni led a major colonization attempt, bringing 160 settlers and livestock. For a time they traded peacefully with the natives, exchanging cloth for furs. But tensions rose, and violence erupted. Outnumbered and threatened, the Norse abandoned their settlement after 3 years. The dream of a permanent colony faded. The Norse voyages ended, but their legacy endured. They were the first Europeans to meet the peoples of North America. Their story is one of ambition, risk, and resilience, and it set the stage for future exploration. Why does this brief Viking chapter matter? It proves the age of discovery began long before Columbus. The Norse crossed the Atlantic with courage, skill, and limited resources. Their journey was a multi-generational push westward, not a single event. Discovering their story forces us to rethink history, not as a straight line but as a web of overlapping journeys. Columbus's voyages changed the world, but the Vikings showed it could be done. Their failed settlement doesn't diminish their achievement. It decentralizes the story of exploration, showing it wasn't just for Mediterranean empires. The Norse chapter adds depth to our understanding of migration and discovery. It reminds us that history is full of surprises waiting to be uncovered, and it proves that even lost stories can change how we see the world. Leif Erikson and Vinland show how history evolves with new evidence. Once dismissed as legend, the Viking presence in America is now fact, thanks to sagas and archaeology. Their brief settlement was a monumental achievement, connecting two streams of human migration. The Norse didn't conquer, but they explored, meeting indigenous peoples on distant shores. Vinland was a step too far to sustain, but it was a leap for humanity. Leif's story doesn't diminish Columbus, it enriches the narrative of exploration. The drive to see what's beyond the horizon is timeless. Sometimes the greatest discoveries are the ones hidden in plain sight for 1,000 years.